I'll do anything after work. Just let me sleep." "Anything?" he chuckled, getting up. "I'll make you a dinner you won't forget. Fish, game, fowl, veal, pork. Throw a dart at the culinary map, baby, and it'll be on the table." He really wasn't so much a fool as he was giddy about still being alive. "Please be quiet, darling." He dressed quickly and smacked Hudley, the dog, for the garbage can mess, a ritual repeated countless times. Why would a dog want the forbidden fruit of leftover sauerkraut? It was only a little after 5 a.m. and barely light. Dawn in June comes early in northern climes for reasons which a reader might check in an encyclopedia. Johnny himself owned the 14th edition of the Britannica, published in 1929, in order to avoid all those chilling photos of jet fighters and mock-ups of atoms falling apart with disastrous consequences. He drove down to Lake Michigan, only a few miles from any farmhouse on the hilly Leelanau Peninsula. It was one of those rare, lambent, umbrous mornings when the still, warm air was full of green haze and presented the illusion that one lived in a fairy tale and everything would work out. Somewhere on this beach, he thought, Rapunzel might lie in wait in a pup tent. The dog was head deep in the water. His preferred method of drinking was merely to open his mouth and let the water run in. Johnny tried to remember when he had last been up at dawn without staying up all night. To be frank, he couldn't, and it occurred to him it might be time at his age, 42, to start turning back the old Big Ben alarm. It was the only chance in a frenetic world to see the true serenity of Earth, he thought. There was the troublesome idea that Lake Michigan should somehow look bigger, though you couldn't see across it, and it stretched nearly 400 miles from Chicago to so far north that Chicago was easily forgotten, and the water was so pure and clear it might remind the natives of the north of the Bahamas, had they ever been there, which they hadn't. The thought clarified itself when he remembered that the Pacific looked much larger than the Atlantic. Then the dream came back with such force that he looked around wildly for company to convince himself he had returned from the dream world. Hudley streaked past, chasing a flock of flying gulls with comforting awkwardness. Less than a dozen miles out in the lake, which was uncommonly dulcet, housebroken, not altogether a suitable stage for his death dream, were the Manitou Islands, the sacred home for the Great Spirit, he had heard, but didn't know the particulars. Even the local hippies scorned the poor indigenous Indians as being less interesting than those of the Rockies. But then the alternative lifestyle types in Leelanau County had pretty much traded in their turquoise jewelry in favor of the wood stove revolution. His only real connection with the American Indian was his secret name, given him 30 years ago as a Cub Scout when he was inducted into the Sacred Order of the Webelos. The scoutmaster, who was also the school band leader, was a trifle fey, and liked the idea of giving this morose youngster, the son of the local police chief, a name that would doom him to the far side of heaven: Warlock. From that day on, in the privacy of his own thought, he was Warlock. Not a year later, the scoutmaster had been run out of town after having been discovered in the middle of a sodomic frenzy in a camp privy. He realized that, in that he was facing west, there was no point waiting around for the sunrise. He tossed the big dog in the back of the Subaru and drove eastward across the peninsula, squinting at the rising sun as he passed through the village of Lake Leelanau. His favorite local place, the grocery store, wouldn't be open for another hour or so. He was breathing deeply now, far from his plum-faced death, and heading home. There was an off chance Diana might have time for an embrace or two. Then he noticed a new road with a sudden sense of shock. Impossible. In the year of temporary unemployment, he had covered every road on the official county map. Now they were springing a new one on him. The road had been hidden by a triangle of trees and what he had thought of as a double driveway, and the road had the courtesy to own a sign that read "Dead End." No wonder he hadn't bothered with it. He drove a few hundred yards, ending up in the yard of a deserted, vandalized farmhouse. He got out, allowing Hudley to run interference, in a thicket of green burdocks, noting that he could see right through the empty windows to the Manitou Islands out in Lake Michigan. Glorious. He walked around the house and framed the red sun in another empty